ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision-crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision-crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader. Like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
The Rams 2025 schedule is finally here. We're going to break it down and talk about it right here, right now on this off-season update episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, Rams Nation? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. If you're on YouTube, like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. All those things help out the algorithm with other Rams fans seeing our content. And if you're on the audio podcast only side of things, share this podcast with all your fellow Rams fans. All those options, either one of them, we very much appreciate it. But Mark, baby, 2 claps, 3 claps, 4 claps, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or whatever I just did for the schedule finally coming out, and we can stop, guessing and debating over the internet and the Rams universe.
Yeah, it's kind of anticlimactic. I mean, all day long I'm getting teasers,
so, huh?
and I think I knew like 90% of the schedule. There was just one game I was confused on via social media releases, but yeah, it's finally here.
And let's talk about it immediately. Let's pull this up here, Rams Nation. So, for anyone who enjoys going to preseason games, with the Dallas Cowboys being a Southern California training camp participant, having their facility, their temporary facility in Oxnard for the summer, we'll have them here at SoFi Stadium on August 9th, week 1 of preseason. We will have our annual Battle of LA preseason bowl game with the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh's Chargers, week 2 of the preseason. And then we're going to Cleveland to play, Kevin Stefanski's team. Maybe we see a lot of Shador and Dylan Gabriel. That should be very entertaining. You probably should get a lot of, NFL viewership in general in that game, as, it's a dress rehearsal, or maybe they got to see, all right, is Shador any good? Is Dylan Gabriel any good? Who they drafted in the 3rd. So that will be an entertaining preseason game, I think, for many reasons outside of just our own team. So that game in Cleveland, 10 a.m. on a Saturday. Then let's get right into it. Who the hell are we playing week 1? I like this matchup a lot. I think this is a great week 1 matchup. That is at home versus the Houston Texans, a 125 game on Sunday. And I like this. I like this matchup. I just think just a good overall game to kick off the season, Mark.
Yeah, and I did a little research on the Texans, and their issue last year was offensive line, and they've rebuilt it a little bit. Cam Robinson, a couple other signings, draft picks. But they gave up 52 sacks, I think, last year. So this will be a really good test for how that went. And I think it's good to catch them early as they try to sort through those things. But they're going to be tough. Their CJ Stroud is awesome, and not to celebrate injuries, but the Rams will benefit by the fact that Tank Dell will definitely not be back for that game. So it's better to catch the Texans early rather than late as they're sorting through that offensive line, I think, and figuring that out.
Yep, a good team led by former 49er D'Amico Ryans, right, who always had good schemes ready to go up against us. So that, CJ Stroud, they got the Iowa State receivers that a lot of Rams fans wanted, either one, right? And we covered them a ton during the draft process, and they snagged them both, which is crazy. So them, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, the defense. I mean, they got a good group there. That's going to be a really tough matchup. But I think just overall as a football fan, that's a nice week 1 game. And here in LA, I will be there.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see, I don't think we're going to see 30,000 Texan fans either. I think we'll have a good time, pretty easily representing Rams in that game.
I think so for sure. So let's go on week 2, Rams Nation. We are in Tennessee or at the Titans. That'll be an early kickoff here. That'll be a 1 o'clock game over there, but it'll be a 10 a.m. kickoff LA time. That'll also be on Sunday, of course. And this game, and then I forgot to mention the previous game, those will be on CBS or Channel 2 for any of you LA native guys. So there you go. Those are your broadcasting notes. And obviously those things will be known as the season gets upon us. But hey, we're going to get the number 1 overall pick right off the bat. Is he going through his rookie woes? Is he playing well? Cam Ward, I'm talking about, University of Miami quarterback, who I thought was the best quarterback in the draft, clearly. Hopefully he doesn't have a good game against us. But, for whatever reason, Rams always struggle against, high pick quarterbacks early in the seasons, a la Caleb Williams last year. Not that he played great, but we just lose against those teams for whatever reason. So we'll see how it goes, right? A team that's trying to be on the up and up. They got a good group of receivers. They have a good group of running backs, an O-line that's being led by Callahan Sr., who was one of the best O-line coaches in the league. They had a top 10 defense for majority of the year last year before the dam finally broke with the offense being so, bad with Will Levis. It's a tough matchup. This is one of those ones where everyone's like, oh, that's a win. I'm not so sure if they don't play their A game, Mark. So tough matchup there in Tennessee. On not the surface, but when you just look at player by player, this one could be one of those weird games where we're like, how did we lose that? I hope not, though.
Yeah, and again, I think it's an advantage to get Cam Ward early rather than late, I would hope.
Sure.
And, we got to remember, this is the Rams overall, this is a favorable schedule, as favorable as it gets. And it's 1 year, especially these first 2 games, the Rams got to change their early season woes around. They can't start slow this season. They can't let it happen. And hopefully we can snag a couple of wins here, go 2-0.
Yeah, it's going to be needed. Again, that Texas game is going to be tough. I believe this Titans game. And then who's next on the schedule? Well, the team who ended our season right off the bat in week 3. Surprised this wasn't a Sunday night, but we'll get to all that stuff at the end here about my thoughts on when these games are slotted in. But in Philadelphia, early in the season, this game will be on Fox, Channel 11. I'm sure Tom Brady and crew will be calling this game absolutely, right? The A team for Fox, if I had to guess. Maybe not, but man, oh man. A game that will not be in the snow. It'll be good weather in Pennsylvania at this time of year, but how energized will we be for this? Will we be too overly energized to be like, we need revenge? And I'm sure McVay will coach up the team and, prep the team to not have that crazy mentality of revenge for ending our season, right? New group, them as well, us as well. But this is a big, big deal in terms of playoff seeding, right? We're finally getting an NFC team. And this team is obviously going to make the tournament listings just go absolutely haywire for them for a probably multitude of reasons. So this game is incredibly important in Philadelphia, early morning, good weather, no snow, of course, but surprised this wasn't a primetime game, Mark, for sure. I definitely thought this was going to be one.
Yeah, and again, this game could decide home field advantage in a potential playoff matchup. And you're absolutely right. And I was listening to Nick Foles the other day talking about how they approached their game against the Patriots. And these big games like that, you just got to treat the other team as just another team. They're objects on the field and go out and do your job and beat them. And I think the Rams will be well positioned to win that game. I don't care where it's played. I think the Titans and the Eagles, the Rams certainly earned the Eagles and Eagles fans' respect in that game last year. That's going to be a fun, stressful match, and I love these 10 o'clock games too. West Coast on the West Coast, watching these 10 o'clock games. That's what I prefer, rather than waiting till 125 sometimes for these games. Let's just get to it, right? Let's get the Rams on the field and playing.
No, I get it. I get it for sure. But, can we stop Saquon or at least have him under 200 yards rushing for damn sake, for football God's sake? I would like to see that this game, hopefully. Hold Saquon Barkley under 200 yards rushing, please. Okay?
Yeah,
that's all I asked for in this game.
That's
Golly.
what Puna's here for, right?
That's a big reason why he signed. We'll see what happens with the inside linebacker group. That's going to be probably all new if we had to guess at the moment. So it'll be a big day for them and a big day for division or conference seeding in the playoffs if things go our way and we do get in the tournament. But onward, who do we play? We play the Indianapolis Colts in Week 4, which is a team that is not sure who the hell their quarterback is at the moment. Probably Daniel Jones will win the job because he's just objectively a better thrower than Anthony Richardson, and that's not saying a whole lot, unfortunately for them and any Colts fan out there, including some buddies of mine who are Colts guys. But hey, here in LA, back after a couple game road trip on the Eastern Seaboard over there, back LA, 1 o'clock game. Sunday afternoon, and this game also being on Fox, as that's always seems to be an NFC hosted network. But should beat this team, right? But Jonathan Taylor's a heck of a player. Michael Pittman's good. They have a defense who is formidable, but was put in a lot of bad situations with the offense just being so out of whack a majority of the season. But it'll be interesting to see. Do we get Daniel Jones, who just is a better quarterback than Richardson? They both can run. We don't handle mobile quarterbacks very well. And obviously Jalen Hurts, to the game in the previous week, we'll have to get our crap in order with that. But another team where it's like, hey, passing's good, but Daniel Jones on a read option. Anthony Richardson on a read option or a quarterback designed run. We don't do well against those teams. So this will be an important game to figure it the hell out, get a win, stay healthy, of course, but got to win these games against teams who are just objectively better than, and this one has to be one of them, Mark.
Yeah, and this game coming after the Eagles game, before the 49ers game, I immediately thought this is a real big trap game for the Rams. It's a classic trap game in my opinion, and as long as the Rams are aware of that and get geared up and treat it like as important as an important game, like all 17 games on this schedule, equally important, and go out and get a win and not be looking ahead to the 49ers or celebrating a win against the Eagles. Move on and take care of the Colts.
That's exactly right. And the very on a short week, which seems like an annual tradition at this point with 49ers. Us and 49ers playing each other on a Thursday night game. So our first primetime game of the year coming in Week 5 here in LA at least. So at least, the team is not traveling on a shorter week. They could stay around their homes, the facility, and all that. But a very, very important game to win the West. A lot of betting odds. People have 49ers winning the West because their strength of schedule, is one of the best in the NFL, and said, hey, they have an easier path to winning the West just based on who they play the rest of their schedule. So this will be an important game, obviously divisional game, but a 49ers team that's in a similar situation that we were 2 seasons ago, where everyone thought we were going to be a disastrous franchise and blow it up, get rid of everybody, end up, getting the tournament, playing some good football late in that 2023 season. 49ers are in a similar spot. Still got tons of good players, but a lot of guys they've let go and bailed on for different reasons. So this game will be another nail biter like it seems to always be. And important, gotta win. Gotta win this game at home for sure. And short week, tough on players, tough on coaches, but we're not going to have another primetime game for a very, very long time after this, it feels like. And to get a win on national TV against your rivals, this is really important outside of just the other playoff seeding possibilities out of this too. It's like nationally, no one's going to see the Rams for quite some time, and got to get a win on this one, Mark, just for that reason alone. I feel.
Yeah, I think going into the season, the Rams they have the better roster right now, but can't take the 49ers lightly. It's the Rams and Niners. Anything can happen. Demarcus Robinson will be back for this game. He'll miss the first three. Yeah, Rams Niners. What more do we need to say? It's going to be a fun game, a stressful game, and extremely important, obviously.
Yep, important for sure. And catch that video on Amazon Prime Video, Rams Nation. So wherever you stream your stuff, whether you have that or other things, you all know what I'm talking about. Check out that game there. But then we move on to this nice Eastern Seaboard stretch with this Baltimore Ravens game in Week 6. That'll be a 10 a.m. kickoff, our time, LA time, Sunday afternoon. That game will be hosted on Fox. So that might be another, Brady game where he's commentating, right? They always want to get the biggest matchups for Fox. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. But a final 8 team, just like Houston was, just like Philly was. And this is going to be another nail biter. Rams have not done well against mobile quarterbacks in recent history. We'll see if it's better. This will be a game where we're going to get absolutely tested in that. Quarterback runs, Derrick Henry, great throwing by Lamar, MVP level player, great coach defense, even though I know they had some lulls this last year. But, I mean, this is another, if we can get this win, fantastic. But, these are one of the games where you can just maybe like, this might be a loss for a multitude of reasons. But we'll see. We'll see. Right, Mark?
Yeah, and, the one thing about this schedule, there's not typically in past years, we've seen there 3 or 4 or 5 game stretches where like just holy crap. And this is really the toughest stretch, these 2 games back to back, Niners and Ravens. And you're right. I always look at these, a road game against a good AFC team. Yeah, you want to win every game, but if you're going to lose one, that's the one you can get over a little bit easier. And Lamar Jackson, he's just one of those quarterbacks you hate playing against.
Absolutely. I mean, he's kicked our ass on the field, it feels like, a lot since we played him. Monday night, 2019 was a disaster, his first MVP. 2023, at the end of the year in the rainy mud against, when Odell was a Raven, he lit us up that game. Couldn't stop him. So, it's a couple games in a row where we just had no answer for Lamar, and hopefully things are not as bad as they were in the past.
One of them was the overtime game with the kick return, right?
Well, before overtime, we were gonna go OT, and then they won it on a walk-off.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It was devastating. It was like, gosh dang it! But we couldn't stop them that day, and back in 2019 either. So hopefully this time around in 25 we'll be a little bit better, please.
And they did miss a block in the back on that return, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like, can we stop Lamar on 3rd and a gazillion? That one touchdown he had on us was 3rd and a million. And so, it's like those backbreaker plays where it's like, that shouldn't be happen. So,
right.
Hopefully this time around's better out there in Maryland. But outside of going to Maryland, we're just going to keep going east, Mark, as this will be that international game against the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. This will be a 6:30 a.m. Pacific kickoff time. So, Rams Nation out here in Southern California and anywhere on the West Coast, hey, set your alarms, wake up, have a brew, have your coffee, whatever you got to do, and get ready to watch some football against a team on the up and up, which I think is appropriate to say. Travis Hunter, the mega trade from our former GM, James Gladstone, our former offensive coordinator, now head coaching over there, Liam Cohen, who's had some nice production with Baker Mayfield and some other stops at the University of Kentucky. Are they going to be better offensively because of those, all those additions to their team? I think so. But, we'll see how Trevor Lawrence is at that point in the year. We'll see how healthy they are. But this is a team that disappointed severely last season, and I think they're going to play so much freaking better this season. So this will be a tough one. An early start for the Rams for their mental clocks and all that. But hopefully with them leaving Baltimore and then just immediately going to London, as I pull this up right here, Rams Nation. Let's pull up this tweet real quick from Sam Farmer from the LA Times. The Rams requested an East Coast game immediately before playing Jacksonville in London in Week 7, Sam says. The NFL obliged, putting the Rams in Baltimore the week before so the team could have a shorter trip overseas and already be on Eastern time. So there you go. That is why Baltimore before and then, London right after. And, hey, appreciate the Rams thinking of these things. And it makes sense just for the players and the coaches and everyone that's got to travel with them and any team personnel that has any importance on game day outcomes, wins and losses. This makes a lot of sense, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, that should be automatic. It's the West Coast teams are already at a disadvantage every year, piling up the mileage. It's just really unfair. It would be unfair to expect the Rams to fly from LA to London. The Jags just got the short hop across the ocean. So, and I don't know what to make of the Jags. It's way too early. They're a team that's in flux. They could be horrible. They could be pretty darn good. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see for sure. But I think this game will be entertaining regardless. And shout out to all our English Rams fans out there. We hope you represent well during that Week 7 game against Jacksonville out there in London on NFL Network for any of you who have that channel or wherever else you get your streaming. Wink, wink. You know what I mean? And then luckily NFL was cool enough to say, hey, let's get a bye week right after, guys. A lot of traveling. You haven't been back in Southern California in quite some time. And I appreciate the NFL doing us that favor, right around that halfway point, which is always ideal, which a lot of players always say, hey, give us a bye week at least at the halfway point or later. And the Rams were gifted that by the NFL schedule makers. And I'm happy about that, Mark.
Yeah, and again, that should be automatic as well. I think that's usually how they do it. That's a good spot for a bye, I think. They're just, that's a little bit to recover from body-wise, and as you said, the mental clock. So I think that's a good spot for a bye. I can't complain.
Yeah, for sure. And then luckily, the very next week, Week 9, we're playing the New Orleans Saints here in LA. That'll be another 1 o'clock game, LA time, on Fox. So we'll see what crew we get on Sunday afternoon. So, hey, a team that is in flux, which feels like it's been the case for quite some time since Drew Brees retired back in 2020. And the Saints play us tough, though. Let's be honest. The Thursday night game, we played them late in the year for playoff seeding and playoff hopes back in 2023. They played us tough for a while. We started out hot. They eventually caught up, and then we held them off. This last year, Jared Verse saved us from getting scored on. Derek Carr was going to throw a game-winning touchdown potentially on that final play when we played them, later in the year out there in New Orleans. Just picture that game, Jared Verse strip-sacking Derek Carr. I mean, he saved us on that. He saved us. That was potentially, I think, going to be a touchdown game-winning pass, and our season would be so drastically different on that. So they play us tough, Rams Nation, and obviously they're going to have a young quarterback at the helm, whether it be Shuck or Rattler or whoever else they bring in potentially. They still got a good defense, in my opinion. We'll see if Olave and Raheed Shaheed and Kamara are all healthy, but that's a good group of skill players on offense, a good defense. So this is not an easy game, but objectively overall, we are a better team than them player by player, and this has got to be a win, Mark.
Yeah, it has to be, and I suspect I understand what you're saying, that they do play us tough and they do have some great skill guys, but right now they have to be one of the bottom 3 or 4 teams in the league, and so that nothing's automatic. But yeah, the Rams just have to win that game. It's not a gimme. I'm not going to tell you it's a gimme, but they cannot afford to lose it. They just got to go into New Orleans and take care of business. And I remember that game last year. The first half, their offense was dreadful, and then they came out in the second half and took care of business.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but definitely got to be a win there, Rams Station. But we move on to Week 10 in San Francisco, or the Santa Clara 49ers, whatever city they officially play in. That'll be a 125 game on Sunday. That game will also be on Fox. And hey, if we screw up and don't win that game back, on Thursday Night Football in our first matchup here in LA, we got to win this one. So depending on what happens, Not saying let's only go 1-1 against them. Let's obviously sweep them, but if we blow that game on Thursday Night Football in LA, they got to get this one later in the year, in their home stadium, Mark, for sure.
Yeah, and it's really kind of depressing to look at the 49ers schedule. Man, it is a cupcake schedule for the
Yeah.
most part. And then they get to this game. The two Rams games are their two toughest games through this point in the season, I think. So
Yeah.
it's not going to take much for them to get up for the Rams, I think. But we'll see
Yeah,
how
I
they
mean,
do. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying again, Rams Nation, a lot of betting odds have the 49ers winning the NFC West. It's because their schedule is pretty dang easy based on, last year's team's crappy records and who they're playing this 2025 campaign. So it's important that the Rams do not get swept by them. And if they blow that earlier game, they got to get this one and then obviously go for the sweep, of course. But it's a big, big game, divisional wise, conference wise, potential playoff seeding wise. I mean, they can't be swept by them. They absolutely cannot. So big game here in week 10 out there in Northern California. And then we move on to another important divisional game, week 11 versus the Seattle Seahawks. The first game against the Seahawks here in LA, the first game of the year overall. And this will be Cooper Kupp's return to Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium, I believe. And this will be an emotional game for a lot of reasons. But hey, these Seahawks games are always nail biters as well. Tough team, well-built team. They're starting to mold that, the players and get players in there that fit, McDonald's philosophy and playing style and coaching style and scheme and all that. So we'll see. Is it going to be Sam Darnold? Is it going to be Jalen Milroe that a lot of Rams fans, secretly wanted or did want drafted at some point to learn under Stafford? Is he starting at that point? Is Cooper Kupp even healthy there? What's up with Sam Darnold? There are other signings they brought in and yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, going to be a tough matchup, I think, regardless who's at quarterback. Let's just be honest. But I'd rather have Sam Darnold than Milroe running around on us, which, again, we do not defend mobile quarterbacks well that run well. So I do hope Sam Darnold's there. We have good success against him in recent history.
Yeah, the Seahawks have really changed their culture and how they play football. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, both gone. I think Zach Charbonnet could have a breakout year this season. That's one of my predictions. But they're going to play. It's not Pete Carroll football anymore. We don't know what to make of them. They could take a step back. They could be. They could push the Rams for a divisional title. Really uncertain about what the Seahawks are bringing to the table this year.
Yeah, they're going to be a mystery, but I think they got tons of good players. Jackson Smith and Jigba, killed us a gazillion games in a row this last season or the couple matchups. DK had some good games. Obviously he's not there anymore. A lot of changes, but regardless if Cooper Kupp is healthy or not, I just hope he doesn't have a good game against us. I mean, I'm just being selfish there, but I wish you well, Kupp. You're forever world champion, Super Bowl MVP, but I hope you don't have a good game against us, selfishly. And luckily, Mark, the next week we finally started to get some primetime games back on our schedule, which, it had been a while since that Thursday night game early in the season, but we get Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. Our first Sunday night game of the season will come in week 12, which is pretty dang late in my opinion. But hey, great matchup. Former Ram on the fly, Baker Mayfield, who's, found his forever home, it feels like, out there in Tampa Bay, Florida, playing well. We'll see how healthy Chris Godwin is at that point in the year after that bad ankle injury. I'm sure he'll be playing then. Mike Evans, is he going to continue his Hall of Fame career and 1,000-yard seasons? He'll be on track probably at that point. Emeka Ibuka, their third receiver. They have their dual threat running back game with Rashad White, Bucky Irving, that McVay really, wouldn't stop talking about in every offseason meeting, how Liam Cohen used him. They got a great offense. Bowles, they're going to coach them up on the defense and take risks and take gambles. But the good thing is that McVay-led offenses always seem to play well against Todd Bowles-led defenses. But that offense that they have there, if everyone's healthy at that point in the year, this is going to be a fireworks show, I believe. And, we'll see. But this is worthy of a primetime game. This is one of the games I originally thought was going to be a primetime game when we talked last week.
Yeah, everybody's been writing off the Bucks. It seems like for the last 3 or 4 years, and they just keep on winning the division. It seems like, and I think they're
Yep,
going to win the South again, unless Michael
I think so.
Penix just really blows up. It's going to be the Bucks, and this could be again another game that could have home field playoff implications for the Rams and Bucks.
Yep, absolutely. And the Sunday night games here in LA at SoFi Stadium always look nice. NBC crew always. I think their color grading on the cameras I always thought was a little bit nicer than the other networks for whatever reason. And it'll look good here in LA. And I bet I would be at that game as well for sure. But the fireworks will go off. And again, yep, you're right. Important for playoff potential seedings. And got to get a win there. And say sorry, Baker. You're not going to have some heroic game-winning drive like you did last time you were here, please. We don't need that. And then we move on, Rams Nation. We go back to the East Coast. We play the Carolina Panthers out there in Carolina. 10 a.m. kickoff time, Sunday, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. here, LA time. And that one will for sure be on Fox as well. But a team objectively, player by player, we're better than. But hey, maybe Bryce Young's really showing up like a number one pick. They drafted, Tetero McMillan, T-Mac, who reportedly we wanted to trade up and get. I'm like, really? I really thought they were probably trying to go up there and get Colson Loveland, who the Bears took, a couple spots later. But hey, are they playing well with him and Xavier Legette and others? Chuba Hubbard. Is their offense playing as well as they did at the end of last season? Is their defense going to play better? But regardless of all that, this is another game where you objectively, Rams got to win it. Important for the conference, for playoff seeding overall, the tiebreakers. But got to get a win here, Mark. Got to get a win.
Yeah, I would expect the Panthers to be a bottom feeder. I hate to say it. I know they showed some talent, some potential late in the year last year, but it's a team that I'd really be surprised if they took a big step forward. But hey,
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
I'm Cindy Lauper. My psoriasis was all over, even on my scalp, which may mean 4 times the risk for psoriatic arthritis. But Cosentyx works on both.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis 300 milligram dose and adults with active psoriatic arthritis 150 milligram dose. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at Cosentyx.com or 1-844-COSENTYX. Ask your doctor about Cosentyx.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injury is an additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
That game is so far off. Who knows? Another team could be horrible, could be decent. We don't know. But it's a road game. The Rams are going to have to find a way to win some road games, and that would be one of them.
Yeah. And you got to win that game. Absolutely have to. Of course, with health being not an issue, of course. Then we move on, Rams Nation. Our first matchup with the Arizona Cardinals in Week 14. That is in Arizona. Luckily, our last time being out there was hosting a playoff game where we beat the hell out of the Vikings. So hopefully that good juju will continue. Not like it was last season when we got our asses whipped by Arizona. Marvin Harrison had his best game of his young, rookie season or career thus far. Kyler Murray had a career day. So I don't need to see that again out there in Arizona. But an important matchup for playoff seeding, the NFC West, winning that, getting a playoff spot. And got to continue the good streak of winning out there, not losing like we did the last time playing Arizona. And I hope that changes. Got to win this game, Mark, in my opinion.
Yeah, and remember, Arizona is a team, again, another team that's good to get late because they seem to always come out of the gate like balls of fire. And then, you hit week 8 or 9 and it just falls apart on them. Kyler Murray falls apart. And so good time to catch them late in the year, both games late in the year. So I take that as a positive for sure.
Yeah, definitely a positive, but got to win that one. Objectively, we are a better player by player than the Cardinals, but they play us tough, right? Akella Witherspoon saved our season on that Saturday night game where luckily our blitz gamble by Chris Shula on defense paid off with Kyler Murray throwing the ball early, but hey, the tight end McBride should have caught it. Hit him in the hands, hit him in the face area, and luckily Akella made a season-saving play, so not going to be an easy matchup, but objectively, they got to get a win there for sure. And then, surprise, this isn't a primetime game, Mark, but week 15, the Detroit Lions come to town. That'll be a 1:25 LA time kickoff here at SoFi Stadium, and that will be Sunday afternoon, and Fox will be hosting that game. This will probably be another, Tom Brady, A-team game. Who knows? But surprise, this isn't a primetime game, but man, oh man, for playoff seeding, for home field advantage maybe at that point, right? If the Rams season's going well and their season's going well, I mean, Jared Goff back in LA again, Matthew Stafford, playing his old team again for the millionth year in a row, it feels like now. These two teams don't like each other. Last time Dan Campbell was for sure like, oh, the Vikings, we'll see you next week, Kevin O'Connell, as he for sure thought that the Vikings would beat us and then end up facing them again. But funny how that works. Both O'Connell's team, Vikings, Dan Campbell's team, Lions, both got eliminated in the wild card weekend. So that's some karma for that for sure. But, two teams that secretly don't like each other. Amon-Ra St. Brown's cool with Puka Nacua. They did a podcast together this last, couple of months or so. But they seem to play each other with hatred in their hearts, just the way it looks like on the field. I like that football style, man. There's got to be players that don't like each other, right? We don't like their safety group. We don't like their defensive players. I'm looking forward to this matchup, but I'm disappointed this isn't going to be for the world to see on primetime. But oh well.
Yeah, I have a gut feeling that the Lions are going to take a step back this year, losing both their coordinators. Yeah. And I think the way last year ended had to take a little bit out of them. That was a pretty embarrassing loss to the Commanders. And I don't know, that game was so far off. I could be completely wrong. Maybe I'm wishing them, wishing a poor season upon them more than anything. Okay. But I think that's a big hit, losing Ben Johnson, especially their coordinator. Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see how that offense functions without his leadership, without his creativity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Aaron Glenn now with the Jets, their head coach. So we'll see. They're going to be drastically different play calling wise, I believe, with those two guys not there. But hey, they were a team that were battered and beat up defensively, and they hung on and played some good defense late in the year. So we'll see. I expect them to be a good overall team. I expect Jared Goff to continue to play well, Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery to run the ball well, and this will be a tough matchup. This will be another coin flip game depending on how it goes. But luckily, we can beat the Lions here in LA, not out there in Michigan for whatever reason. So I think that helps us out. But then, Rams Nation, we got to hurry up and say, okay, the drama of that game, Stafford maybe potentially last time ever playing the Lions, right? If it's his final season for whatever reason, which I hope not. All right, get all that. Wash that out of your brain, Stafford and co. and Rams and everyone out there. You got Seattle on a short week up there in the Pacific Northwest, as this game will be another Amazon Prime hosted game. Seattle Seahawks. It'll probably be wet and rainy and cold during this time of the year, which will be, a little bit before Christmas, December 18th. And another important game. Let's just say the Rams blow it on their first matchup here in LA, a couple weeks back. They absolutely got to get this one, and they have to play well and get it. Playoff seeding, NFC West standings. We're trying to keep up with the Niners baby easy schedule. All right, that's probably improper wording there, but you know what I mean. And very, very important, Mark. Very, very important on a short week.
Yeah, and those are always fun games. It seems like they're always fun games. And up there in Seattle, we generally play well. We had such a good record against Russell Wilson compared to the rest of the league. Things seem to go well well for us very often against the Seahawks. So I feel good about that game. It's a long ways off, and again, just like the first matchup, it's really hard to put your finger on what the Seahawks are going to be at this point. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see for sure. But man, oh man, gotta win that. And then, all right, Rams Nation, you didn't get enough prime time early in the year. Don't worry, we got you 2 weeks in a row as this game against the Atlanta Falcons, Monday Night Football on ESPN ABC, and this game will be in Atlanta. So another road trip across, the world. It feels like at that point with how much the Rams will be traveling at that point in the season, which is crazy. With obviously them going to London, adding a lot of flight mileage. Hey, this is a game I thought would be primetime, Mark. You and I talked about, which would be like, what would be a sneaky one I feel like they would do just because of the trade and all the Raheem Morris connection, all the other former Rams staff that are there with Raheem, right? Michael Penix is marketable now as a quarterback who can play some good football. They have a good overall roster, drafted, some edge rusher guys and have some decent to good secondary players. This will be an important game for a gazillion reasons. Number one, playoff seeding, right? If Atlanta's season's going well, then they're fighting for a lot, and hopefully so are we. Number two, the world, will see this game. Everyone will be watching for all their potential playoff seeding, not just for the Rams or the Falcons outcomes, but for potential other teams' outcomes. Everyone will be watching this game. And then number three, we got to beat them so our our pick in 2026, our second first round pick, thanks to Atlanta, is going to be better. And we have control over that outside of all the other games, that hopefully Atlanta loses beforehand. So this game could be flexed out if their season is going to be a disaster. Same thing with the Seahawks game before. Let's be honest. Let's just say our season is going, not well, or even Seattle's. I mean, they'll flex those games out. So who knows at that point, but an important game if everything's going well on our side. Let's win this game on national television and get everyone to have some fear in their hearts of like, the Rams are playing good football. We don't want to see them in the tournament.
Yeah, that's immediately what I thought when I saw that game. It could have draft position implications, if Atlanta if it falls apart on them. And I hope for Raheem Morris's sake that doesn't happen. But if they come into that game with 3 or 4 wins, 4 or 5 wins, the Rams are going to be extra motivated. At least their scouting department's going to be extra motivated to see the Rams win. And man, that would be just such a big deal for the Rams in next year's draft, right? So, yeah, get a W for playoff positioning for sure, but also that draft position, big deal.
Yeah, I think it would be a big deal for sure. And then we move on to the final game of the season, Rams Nation. Week 18 at home, at home against the Cardinals. That game is not finalized as, sometimes they'll flex them into a Saturday night if it's an important game like that happened with us last season, late in the year. Or it could be, flexed out into an earlier slot if this game doesn't mean anything. The Rams suck, the Cardinals suck, and it's like, this game doesn't mean jack. No one's playing. Jimmy Garoppolo starting again. All the different factors. But hey, if we blow that game in Arizona earlier, a couple weeks back, they absolutely have to win it. And then this game will hopefully not matter much with our playoff seeding and where we're going to be. This hopefully isn't a win or go home game if we get in the tournament or not. But if it is, they got to win this thing. And luckily this game will be in Los Angeles, Mark.
Yeah, it's again, the Cardinals, they tend to fare pretty poorly in the second half of the season. We get them twice in the second half, twice in the weeks 13 through 18. Weeks 14 through 18. So that's ideal in my opinion. And The Cardinals really stacked up on defense in this past draft. So they're going to be a tougher hope for the Cardinals are hoping their defense, they've solved their defensive problems. I think their offense was pretty decent, but they really struggled on defense. And that's what the focus has been in the draft and free agency. So, the close out the season with a win, we might need to, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly important. So, Mark, I know I haven't talked to you about this or prepped you for this, but overall, what do you think the record's going to be? Do you think 10 plus win season? Do you think less for some odd, feeling you got? What do you think? 10, 11, 12 wins or less? What do you think?
More than 10. I'm thinking 11 or 12. I think the schedule, we get those 3 first place teams, and that kind of sucks while the 49ers are playing last place teams. But you don't know, some of these teams are going to slip. Some of them are going to improve. But other than that, the schedule, in my opinion, is really favorable. And you got some hungry players. I listened to Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, especially Verse, talk about the disappointment after last year, and they expect to get to the Super Bowl and win it. That's in their heart. That is what they believe. And I feel really good about this young roster and how hungry they are, and led by a guy like Matthew Stafford. It's just a great combination. And the key to me is not getting off to a slow start. They can't go 1-4 and 2-5 and none of that crap. They need to come out with, get a couple of early wins, get the momentum going, and they'll be fine. I expect them, 49ers have a big advantage schedule wise, and maybe that's going to be enough. But I think the 49ers, if I'm a 49er fan, I'm a little concerned about the overall quality of their roster. They have some shortcomings there, not a lot of depth at some key positions. So I think the Rams have a good chance of winning this division, and I'm going to say right now I'd say 12 wins.
That'd be great. But you know what? I'll be the realist here, and I guess I think 10-7 again. Sincerely, you want to know why, Rams Nation? And this is again, I'll put it on record here. 10-7 is my prediction. I hope it's more. I hope it's 11, 12, 13. Give me a 14-win season. Obviously, the more the merrier. The higher seed we'll get, the more games we could potentially host during the playoff tournament. But I mean, Rams Nation, let's pull up the schedule one more time. I'll be quick and easy about this, and I'll just run through this fast. So the Houston Texans, I think Sean McVay will prep them well. I think, maybe CJ Stroud is not acclimated totally with the Iowa State rookie receivers, and they're not hitting all cylinders. They could be, but I feel like we sneak them one out, hopefully, and I believe that will happen. And then for whatever odd reason, every year, Rams Nation, there's about 3 games, and I said this last year, and I could continue to say it during the weeks when we were breaking down opponents. There's always games where the coaching staff, and especially McVay's offensive play calling, just flat out sucks. We don't attack the team's weaknesses. We don't have good diversity in play calling, and it's inevitable. There's going to be at least 3 games where the offense just looks abysmal, and it doesn't even make sense why. And I think for whatever reason, this Tennessee Titan game is going to be one of them, where we're going to go in there feeling good after a week 1 victory against a playoff team, a Final 8 team in Houston. And then we're going to have a weird wake-up call against rookie Cam Ward and a rejuvenized Tennessee franchise. And we're going to just drop this game because the offense just inexplicably doesn't play well. So I think that will be a loss. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, we can't stop Saquon Barkley to save our lives. I think that's going to end up being a loss. I hope I'm wrong. Then I think Colts, we win. I do think 49ers, we do win. I think we're not going to beat Lamar Jackson, the Ravens. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that would be a loss if I had to just guess right now. And then I do think we handle our business in London. We handle business against the Saints. I do think we go 1-1 against the 49ers. Maybe we take them lightly, I should say, in either one of the games. But I think out there in Northern California, I think we dropped that one, unfortunately. And then I do think 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I do think for whatever weird reason, I really can't even explain why. I think we screw up against the Seahawks the next week. I just feel like Cooper Kupp will just magically have an 100+ yard game. And it's like, oh, what did the Rams do? Why did they release him? And it's going to be one of those weird games where you're like, how did that happen? I think that ends up unfolding. Then I think we beat the Buccaneers. I think we beat the Panthers. I think we lose against the Cardinals. There's a game, we just have a weird game against them where the offense just doesn't show up. We will ourselves the victory against the Detroit Lions here in LA, as we can beat them out here for whatever reason. Then I think we inexplicably lose again against Seattle in a short week. I think we put all this emotion in against the Lions. We blow that game and we get swept by Seattle. And then I think we handle the Falcons and handle the Cardinals. So again, I think I got losses as of right now against the Titans, the Eagles, the Ravens, the 49ers, the Seahawks twice, and then a Cardinals loss. Because again, there's always at least 3 games where McVay's offense looks abysmal, right? We think of Miami last year where it's inexplicably like, why are they playing so bad? That game you think of. You think of the Arizona game earlier in the year where they were just abysmal. You think of other games, I'm sure you can think of Chicago where we just couldn't score touchdowns. And it was like, what is happening? Against all those teams we were just objectively better than, we blew them. And that happened in 2023. Again, it happened in 2024. And during this McVay great run we've been on, there's always 3 games. And I think out of those losses, there'll be some of those games in there, which is why I get the 10-7. But I hope it's better. I hope 11, 12, 13, 14. Give me 15, Rams Nation. But objectively, just being real, I think 10-7 with this tough schedule is realistic for all the reasons I mentioned. And then plus just the tough schedule overall that this is as well. But we'll see.
So you're predicting basically a wild card berth and traveling to someplace like Green Bay.
It's, I mean, hey, get in the tournament and see what happens. As long as we get in, I'm in on that, and I'm happy about it. But, you know, we'll see what the Niners seasons end up looking right, what happens to Seattle and Arizona. But I think, you know, hey, 10-7 may not get us in. But I think that's realistic to predict just based on recent history. But this team is objectively better than years past. So they should not be 10-7. They should be 11, 12, 13 wins based on all the guys we brought in and who we've drafted and upgrades at certain spots and continuity and all that. But you never know. Injuries screw us every season the last couple of years, it feels like in recent memory. So is everyone going to be healthy at the beginning of the year? Who knows? Feels like every year someone's beat the hell, one position group or one important starter or another.
Especially early in the season, it seems like.
All the time, right? We had multiple linemen, both our starting receivers. You know, luckily Stafford, you know, had missed some time in the previous years and came back. But, you know, all these things are the great unknown. But I think you factor in that, again, one more time, factor in hopefully health not being terrible. But people are going to get hurt. It's inevitable. You factor in McVay's weird 3 games every year where he's just not good offensively. Plus the tough schedule, I get to 10-7. So hope it's better, though, Mark, Rams Nation.
Yeah, I'm not inviting you to my Rams preseason barbecue, that's for sure.
Hey, man, I'll be at a majority of these games and wishing well, but I got to be objective and real to the fan base, man, and just go off what recent history has told us. And, you know, when we do these opponent player analysis, the keys to victory, we'll get into history and how that plays a part against certain opponents. Like, you know, hey, we hadn't beaten Chicago Bears in, you know, 10 plus years out there in the Midwest. And what a shock. We couldn't do it when their team was significantly not as good as ours. So there's weird history that plays a factor in this and you think shouldn't, but it always does. And those are all weird little things that will, you know, play into how I feel about the team on a week-to-week basis as well.
Yeah, those trends are those trends you're referring to are really hard to figure out, but they're trends that just continue. Certain teams, certain locations that you just go, you know, you wake up, you turn on the game, and you just got this crappy feeling before the kickoff. It's not going to go well.
Yeah, it's always wacky for sure, but. Real quick, let's end on a good note, Mark. What are your positives overall about this schedule?
Oh, man, I've been waiting for you to ask me, and there are a lot. I mean, obviously, I really like this schedule. There's really no stretch that's overwhelming. It's not an overwhelming schedule, so that would be expected. And, you know, obviously, the stopover in Baltimore before the Jacksonville game and then coming back for a bye. And that, like I said, that should be automatic. But what I like about it is for a team that travels as much as they do, they get back from London on October 20th, and they don't leave California again until the week 13 when they go to. So over a month they're in LA. I mean, in California, they got the 49ers, the one road game. Everything else is at home and the bye. And then after that, they have the 2 East Coast trips, but everything else is, Seattle, Arizona, California. So if they need to close out strong, I think they're well positioned to do that. And I also like the fact that, kind of miss it, might easily miss this, but they have that Seahawks game on Thursday night, and that's followed by a Monday night game in Atlanta. So they get 11 days before, to get prepared for a trip to Georgia. And those are the main things that I picked off the schedule that I really like. I think we're getting teams early that are good to get early, including, Cam Ward and the Titans, the Texans' new offensive line. And there's just, not a over, typically you look at a schedule and you go like, oh my God, look at week 7 through 11, we're going to get killed. And nothing on this schedule jumps out at me like that. The game I am worried about, as I mentioned when you're talking about it, is I think if there's a game they're going to slip, it could be that Colts game sandwiched in between the Eagles and the 49ers. That would be the one game that concerns me. I like playing Arizona twice late in the year. This is of all the schedule releases I've seen in the last 10 years, this is probably the one that has not slammed me, has slammed me the least as far as, looking at it and going, oh, crap, we have our work cut out for us. Not going to be easy, but it doesn't really scare me either.
Yeah, what my positive outside of my quick little record prediction I did earlier, I do like the balance of home and away. I think that's very nice to see. As you can see here, Ramsation, if you're tuning on YouTube, or I'm sure you have it screenshotted by now, what the schedule is going to be, and have it as a wallpaper or whatever else. Yeah, a lot of 2 games away, 2 games at home, back and forth. It's not a lot of, oh, you're away for 4 weeks like in previous seasons. It's like, man, why are we playing so many away games in a row? It's definitely not the case this 2025 campaign coming up, and I really do like that. And I think real quick, let me get in a negative here. I'm like, dang it, man. Only one primetime game, which is crazy to say for, oh my God, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks. We have to wait for another primetime game. And the fact that Eagles is in primetime, that Detroit's not, I get it. Those games have been, big games in the past on national television, but only one primetime game in 12 weeks? That's pretty lame.
Can I ask you, do you want primetime games just as a matter of respect, or because you enjoy watching the Rams in primetime?
Well, I think it's half and half, or it's a little bit of both, I should say. A team that was a Final 8 team last year should get, 5 primetime games, in my opinion. But we only have 4 scheduled right now. That's unfortunate. We got to wait, till week 12 to get another primetime game. That's unfortunate. And I think what's something that maybe fans aren't thinking of right now is that those final 2 primetime games that we have in Seattle on Thursday against the Falcons out there in Atlanta on Monday, those could be flexed out if we suck or the Seahawks suck or the Falcons suck at that point in the season.
Yeah, that's true.
So in theory, we can end up only having 2, maybe even 3 primetime games if we're lucky, right? So you have to kind of hope that Seattle's playing well at that point in the year in December. You got to hope that Atlanta's playing well, after Christmas, and hope that game's going to be national televised. So a team with Matthew Stafford, Prime Nakua, Devontae Adams, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, and all the other guys that you can think of who are marketable star players in this league or good players, there's a real chance that this team is only getting nationally televised 2 or 3 times That's unfortunate. I
Yeah,
think
well,
that's what I don't like with all those games being bundled up later in the year, the primetime games, and
yeah,
of course the big wait for Sunday Night Football in Week 12. So
yeah.
those are my negatives, but everything else is fine.
Yeah, I get that with the primetime games, and it is. I used to really annoy me when like it seemed like half of them were NFC East teams, and the NFL has corrected that. It used to be Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Redskins back in the day, over and over again on primetime. But I
Yeah,
prefer to not watch my Rams in primetime. I like primetime games
that's
just
fair.
kind of cruise and watch other teams that it's fun to watch on a Sunday night, Monday night, a game I don't really have anything invested. I love those 10 o'clock in the morning games, but that's just me. And I feel like the Rams sometimes just lay turds on prime time. Maybe I
It
just
happens, yeah.
remembering those games more, but I understand what you're saying though. It is kind of it's more about respect. They are, I think, a premier franchise and deserve a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, and again, just one more time, there's a real chance that if the Seahawks suck, we suck, or the Falcons suck, the NFL bails on those games for prime time. So then it's like, oh, we only got two of the whole season. A team that was a finally team with a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame future coach potentially, and Hall of Fame Devontae Adams potentially, and others. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy that we got screwed into those primetime games late in the year. So that's one of my bigger worries outside of the respect thing. But overall, again, I think the schedule is good with the balance of home and away. So we shall see, Rams Nation. I hope this team does win 11, 12, 13 games and wins the NFC West and gets the number one seed. And we have a bunch of playoff games here in LA, but you never know. As long as you have, in the words of JB Long, voice of the Rams, as long as you have the CQI index in order, C, you have a good head coach or great head coach. Sean McVay, even though there's some things that, no coach is perfect, and I point that out, we're lucky to have him. Do you have a good or great quarterback? The Q in that. Matthew Stafford, absolutely yes. And then do you get lucky with the injury bug and avoid it as often as possible? If all those things are in order, you always have a chance to win playoff games and always have a chance to win a Lombardi, host a Super Bowl parade in your hometown. And I think JB Long pointed out a couple seasons ago, and I agree that the CQI index, coach, quarterback, injuries, if all those things check the box and go well, you got a chance. And I think this team, on paper right now, with injuries aside, has that chance to be a great ball club and, win a championship out there in Santa Clara.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a special year for him myself. So I'm the optimist though, and sometimes that leads to great disappointment. But that's what I'm rolling with right now.
I feel you, Mark. But Rams Nation, let us know in the comment section here on YouTube. Let us know in the comment section on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts as well. If you have that featured enabled, how do you feel about the Rams schedule? Do you think it's fair how it's balanced out with the meshing of home and away? Do you feel like there should have been an extra primetime game? Do you like that the primetime games are so late in the season? Do you hate them and not like it like I do for all the reasons I explained? Let us know in the comment section how you feel. And also give us a record prediction as realistic as possible. 10 wins, less than that. 11, 12, 13, or do you think the season ends up being a disaster and you have a gut feeling on that? Let us know in the comment section. But that'll do it here, Rams Nation, on this 2025 schedule episode. And Mark, anything before we get out of here?
Oh, no, nothing new, additional to add. I will be dropping some additional content, schedule related, over the next couple of days. Hopefully add some fun stuff for us to talk about as well.
Heck yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. But that'll do it, Rams Nation. Like, subscribe to the channel, share this video, share this podcast with all your fellow Rams and football fans out there. We very much appreciate it. But don't forget, baby, as always, go Rams.